Early Sonnets. Alfred. Lord Tennyson. I too, as when with downcast eyes we muse and brood, and ebb into a former life, or seem to lapse far back in some confused dream to states of mystical similitude, if one but speaks or hems or stirs his chair, ever the wonder waxeth more and more, so that we say, all this hath been before, all this hath been, I know not when or where. So, friend, when first I looked upon your face, our thought gave answer each to each, so true opposed mirrors each reflecting each that, though I knew not in what time or place, methought that I had often met with you, and either lived in either as heart and speech. 2. To JMK. My hope and heart is with thee. Thou wilt be a ladder Luther, and a soldier priest to scare church harpies from the Master's feast. Our dusted velvets have much need of thee. Thou art no Sabbath drawer of old saws, distilled deep from some worm-cankered homily, but spurred thee at heart with furious energy to embroil and to wall about thy cause with iron-worded proof, hating to hark the humming of the drowsy pulpit drone half God's good Sabbath, while the worn-out clerk browbeats his desk below. Thou from a throne mounted in heaven wilt shoot into the dark arrows of lightnings. I will stand and mark. 3. Mind be the strength of spirit, full and free, like some broad river rushing down alone, with the self-same impulse wherewith he was thrown from his loud fount upon the echoing lea, which with increasing might doth forward flee by town, and tower, and hill, and cape, and isle, and in the middle of the green salt sea keeps his blue waters fresh for many a mile. Mine be the power which ever to its sway will wend the wise at once, and by degrees make to uncongenial spirits flow, even as the warm Gulf Stream of Florida floats far away into the northern seas the lavish growths of southern Mexico. 4. Alexander, warrior of God, whose strong right arm debased the throne of Persia, when her satrap bled at issues by the Syrian gates, or fled beyond the Nemean naphtha pits, disgraced forever thee. Thy pathway sand-erased, gliding with equal crowns two serpents led joyful to that palm-planted fountain-fed Ammonian oasis in the waste. There in the silent shade of laurel brown apart the Chamian oracle divine sheltered thee his unapproached mysteries, high things were spoken there, unhanded down. Only they saw thee from the secret shrine returning with hot cheek and kindled eyes. The Bonaparte he thought to quell the stubborn hearts of oak, madman. To chain with chains, and bind with bands that island queen who sways the floods and lands from end to end, but in fair daylight woke, when from her wooden walls, lit by sure hands, with thunders, and with lightnings, and with smoke, peal after peal, the British battle broke, lulling the brine against the Coptic sands. We taught him lowlier moods, when else nor heard the war moan along the distant sea, rocking with shattered spars, with sudden fires flamed over. At Trafalgar yet once more we taught him. Late he learned humility perforce, like those whom Gideon schooled with briars. 6. Poland, how long, O God, shall men be ridden down, and trampled under by the last and least of men? The heart of Poland hath not ceased to quiver, though her sacred blood doth drown the fields, and out of every smouldering town cries to thee, lest brute power be increased, till that o'ergrown barbarian in the east transgresses ample bound to some new crown, cries to thee, Lord, how long shall these things be? How long this icy-hearted Muscovite oppress the region? Us, O just and good, forgive, who smiled when she was torn in three. Us, who stand now, when we should aid the right a matter to be wept with tears of blood. 7. Caressed or chidden by the slender hand, and singing airy trifles this or that, light hope at beauty's call would perch and stand, and run through every change of sharp and flat. And fancy came in at her pillow sat, when sleep had bound her in his rosy band, and chased away the still recurring gnat, and woke her with delay from fairyland. But now they live with beauty less and less, for hope is other hope and wanders far, nor cares to lisp in love's delicious creeds. And fancy watches in the wilderness, poor fancy sadder than a single star, that sets at twilight in a land of reeds. 8. The form alone is eloquent. A nobler yearning never broke her rest than but to dance and sing, be gaily dressed, and win all eyes with all accomplishment. Yet in the whirling dances as we went, my fancy made me for a moment blessed to find my heart so near the beauteous breast that once had power to rob it of content. A moment came the tenderness of tears, the phantom of a wish that once could move, a ghost of passion that no smiles restore for the slight coquette, she cannot love, and if you kissed her feet 1,000 years, she still would take the praise, and care no more. 9. Wan sculptor, weepest thou to take the cast of those dead lineaments that near thee lie? Oh, sorrowest thou, pale painter, for the past, in painting some dead friend from memory? Weep on. Beyond his object love can last. His object lives. More cause to weep have I, my tears, no tears of love, are flowing fast, no tears of love, but tears that love can die. I pledge her not in any cheerful cup, nor care to sit beside her where she sits. Pity hint it not in human tones, but breathe it into earth and close it up with secret death forever, in the pits which some green Christmas crams with weary bones. If I were loved, as I desire to be, what is there in the great sphere of the earth, and range of evil between death and birth, that I should fear, if I were loved by thee? All the inner, all the outer world of pain clear love would pierce and cleave, if thou wert mine, as I have heard that, somewhere in the main, fresh water springs come up through bitter brine. 'Twere joy, not fear, clasped hand in hand with thee, to wait for death mute careless of all ills, apart upon a mountain, though the surge of some new deluge from 1,000 hills flung leagues of roaring foam into the gorge below us, as far on as I could see. 11. The bridesmaid, O bridesmaid, ere the happy knot was tied, thine eyes so wept that they could hardly see. Thy sister smiled and said, no tears for me. A happy bridesmaid makes a happy bride. And then, the couple standing side by side, love lighted down between them full of glee, and over his left shoulder laughed he at thee, O happy bridesmaid, make a happy bride. And all at once a pleasant truth I learned thee, for while the tender service made thee weep, I loved thee for the tear thou couldst not hide, and pressed thy hand, and knew the press returned thee, and thought, my life is sick of single sleep, O happy bridesmaid, make a happy bride.